This is the free motion quilting tutorial for Feather Universe. This is stitched by first starting with a very large spiral. You want to take your time because this is a foundational design, which means that the time you take stitching your foundation, your starting spiral, the better the design will look. Because if you rush this and your spiral is sloppy and wiggly and ugly, the whole design's going to look bad because this is very much based on the foundation. You're stitching within this area, this space, this gap that you're giving yourself, and that's it. So definitely take your time and go slowly. I can't stress that enough, but it does take some practice understanding that and knowing that the best best thing that you can do is just simply stitch slow and careful, and even if you have to, mark it. There is no rule that says that you can't mark some of these designs, particularly something like this, which it would be easy enough to mark it. It wouldn't be that big of a deal, just in order to get the basic spiral down. And you can see stitching a circular spiral onto a square, you're going to have some weird areas in the corners, so I'm just filling those in as I go along. So the second step of this foundational design is to fill it, and in this case we're going to fill it using feather shapes. So you work off the bottom line with a nice big flowing feather, and then return to that line and come up with your next feather. And this is a great way to practice feathers because you're giving yourself a nice controlled space. You know, you only have this distance between one line and the next line to stitch your feather. So it's very controlled, and you get to practice getting that nice pretty angle and keeping your feathers plump and consistent shapes. So it's all those things, you're practicing all of those things at once in one design, which is very nice. You can see that on the outer edges of the spiral, sometimes it gets a little narrow. And I'm actually going to go in and stitch the corner here and go ahead and fill that in as I'm going along. And that just helps to save some time, because if I went all the way into the center, I would probably have to break thread to come back all the way to the outside and fill that. So it just helps to save time, and then you can just travel back and get back to your edge. But you are going to have to kind of squish your feathers or only stitch half of a feather in order for it to fit into those kind of weird areas along the edges. But once you get past that, filling the center area of the spiral is very easy, just simply stitching the same feather shape over and over again. The design is fairly time consuming. It's a fairly slow design in comparison to some others. But at the same time, you really can't get this level of texture any other way, so it's well worth it. And here's what it looks like when you finish Feather Universe. For over 150 videos on free motion quilting, go to daystyledesigns.com.